Hey everyone, it's John here from Hot Take Hockey, back with another video. This is the winners and losers so far of NHL free agency. I have a few losers, but want to highlight the winners, a lot of the winners. So just a few losers to isolate as we're early on in free agency here, but a lot can change. So I actually just did a full big 30-minute stream and video on Bleacher Report. So it was a little longer, so make sure you guys go check it out if you want more analysis. But this will be just kind of a short form thing just to give a few shout outs to what's happening here. But winners. I think you have to look at the Boston Bruins, the business that they did in terms of limited cap space, bringing in James Van Riemsdyk, bringing in Milan Lucic, bringing in Kevin Shattenkirk, all at reduced cap hits. I think that was good business from the Bruins. The Carolina Hurricanes, bringing back Jesper Fast, bringing back Frederik Andersen, Antti Ranta, go down the list. And the fact that they brought in Dmitry Orlov at only a 2-year deal, 7.75, I thought the cap hit had to be higher to get it a shorter term, and only 2 years at 31 years of age. I think that's great business. Also bringing in Michael Bunting at $4.5 million for only 3 years. Great business as well. I thought the Hurricanes, the culture behind Rod Brind'Amour has clearly shown because guys are taking reduced amounts, except for Jordan Staal. That was a weird one, but we'll put that one aside to reward them for the rest of their business there. And they have one of the best top six, if not best top six in the NHL right now. They might trade Pesce. They're in the conversations for Erik Karlsson. We'll see what happens, but the Hurricanes are winners. Avalanche, I thought they did great business as well. I think a lot of people were shocked by the Miles Wood getting 6 years, especially with the injury concerns, but low cap hit. When you're talking about under $3 million, that's a low cap hit for Miles Wood. And if he can stay healthy, you're going to get great production from him and on third line role potentially. Nashville Predators. I think a lot of people are debating this, but Ryan O'Reilly at only 4.5. 2.7 is a little rich for Luke Schenn, but I think for those two guys, big time playoff performers, big time culture shift. Gustav Nyquist, again, a little bit of a shift in terms of where I thought they were going with it, but I like Nyquist, so I think Nashville did great work. It just seems like they're going to be competing on the border again. So not rebuilding and not a cup contender. I don't know. It's weird where the Preds' direction's going, but I think in terms of business, in terms of the guys they brought in, I think a dub. New York Rangers. Blake Wheeler, Nick Bonino, all at under $1 million. These guys are going to be great presents for you guys, for the bottom six, for these young guys, I would say, Kakko, Lafreniere. So for you Rangers fans out there, I think you've got to be happy because they didn't do anything stupid. There was no risky contracts handed out by the Rangers here. I think obviously out of their own restrictions here for cap space, but I think Blake Wheeler at $800,000 is just, it's stupid. It's a big bargain. Dallas Stars getting Matt Duchene at that price, $3 million for 1 year, I think is a great deal, and great depth signings for Sam Steele and Craig Smith. We'll see if they bring in a defenseman as well. I thought the Canucks did great business as well, maybe a little rich for Ian Cole, but around $3 million for Ian Cole and Carson Soucy each. That's great business, and the Canucks top four is looking a lot better than it was a year ago. So I think the Canucks did pretty good business, and I like Teddy Bluger. Again, I think maybe if we're nitpicking, take 400, 500K off that cap hit, but I like Teddy Bluger as well for them. Capitals, I think bringing in Max Pacioretty at that cheap deal and trading for Edmondson, and it didn't cost them that much, and 50% retained as well. I thought the Caps did some great things as well. And I think there's quite a few other teams you could probably give credit to. I think the Penguins I'm pretty split on. I feel like the winner deals for them were like Ryan Graves, Matt Nieto. Again, if we're nitpicking, take 500K off Noel Acciari, but I like the Acciari addition. Tristan Jarry was a head shaker. So that part, if you take the Jarry contract out, again, Jarry could be good at that number, but the injury concerns, and he's very inconsistent at times. So you take that Jarry contract out. I thought it was a great day for Kyle Dubas and great business. Even Lars Eller was a good presence signing, but I feel like the Jarry one's super risk. But I think there was a lot of teams that did great business, so I could keep going down the list of winners. Losers, I have probably 4 main losers for day one. The Red Wings and Anaheim Ducks for handing out some bad contracts. I think Gudas is a good presence for the younger guys, but that Killorn contract's brutal. Red Wings specifically, I thought they overpaid big time for Compher. That Justin Hall contract, 3 years, $3.4 million. Knowing the Leafs, former Leafs, he'll probably be decent on the Red Wings, but still, at his age, $3.4 million, I think it was just unnecessary. Shane Gostisbehere, I think, again, a little bit of an overpay potentially, but he had a great year, but over $4 million for Shane, or in around $4 million, I believe, for Shane Gostisbehere. So I didn't love what the Red Wings did in terms of day one. Spending close to $15 million on day one, especially when I feel like you have a lot of younger guys wanting to battle for a roster spot. And the Islanders signing Scott Mayfield and Pierre Engvall for a combined $6.5 million for 7 years each is crazy to me. Like that's nuts. I think they did great with the Ilya Sorokin contract at 8 years, just over $8 million. Great signing for your franchise goalie, but like, what are you doing with those other contracts? And Varlamov getting a multi-year deal as well at his age. I just think Lou Lamoriello's committing to years here. That just is not good business in my eyes. And the Toronto Maple Leafs, as we sit here, I mean, you guys could be watching this video and maybe they signed a big fish or traded for a big player and rid themselves of the Matt Murray contract. But as of this moment, the only signing, and I would have liked John Klingberg to be a mil cheaper. Anyone that thought John Klingberg was going to get cheaper than $3 million, like, you don't know what you're saying, because like that was never going to happen. People comparing it to Erik Gustafsson, great. Erik Gustafsson had a better season last year. He was on better teams. Like, John Klingberg for most of last year was on the Anaheim Ducks, who were at the basement and horrible defensively. So I don't know where you're expecting John Klingberg to be efficient. He joined the Minnesota Wild and was much better. So John Klingberg was always going to be over $3 million. So again, if we're nitpicking, cut $1 million off the $4 million for John Klingberg for 1 year, but it's low risk. It's 1 year. So I'm not hating on the Klingberg contract the way other fans out there are. Ryan Reeves, again, if we're nitpicking, take $150K off and take a year off. The Minnesota Wild were, I believe they were offering Ryan Reeves around the same price tag for 2 years. So the Leafs either had to up the cap hit or up the term. They upped the term to 3 years. I wish it was a cheaper cap hit, $1 million for 3 years, and then it's like no stress. It's still basically no stress. But yeah, I understand why people are frustrated. I wish the third year wasn't the case. It's whatever. The guy doesn't have to be in the lineup all the time. He could be in the lineup on certain nights. He's just a presence behind the scenes. And he's a guy that the Leafs haven't had. Like, Wayne Simmons at times was a good presence. Matt Martin back then was a good presence. I just think in general, the Leafs have to get those guys that are actually going to contribute on the scoring sheet. And that's why people have talked about Tyler Bertuzzi, Tom Wilson, all those guys that actually contribute in the top six. So it's tough that the Leafs didn't do anything past that, but it's a wait and see. But also they have to be losers because they lost Ryan O'Reilly. They lost Luke Shen. They lost Michael Bunting. Like, all key players. I mean, you've got to be happy that they moved on from guys like Kerfoot, Hall, like guys that were just not working out in Toronto. But man, like Ryan O'Reilly, Luke Shen, Nola Chari, I was confident they were going to bring back at least one of them. To lose all three and two to Nashville is just such a tough pill to swallow. So that's a tough one. And then, yeah, I mean, I could probably list a couple other losers, but I think the losers one is tough because things can change just like this. And I think all it takes is just for one move. Like the Islanders, for example. Like if the Islanders went out and signed Tarasenko or traded for DeBrincat and it was good value, I'd probably have a different perspective. But we'll wait and see on that. Yeah, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, notification bell, comment down below your winners and losers so far. And we'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.